those tips. But leading into that, I really liked how you talked about guilt and shame with this. And I think that is a huge issue. So my last question as we wrap up, and I'm throwing this on you without telling you about it ahead of time, is we do have parents and friends and dorm parents that say, well, how do I know when I have a student that I need to intervene? What are things that I need to refer to the counseling center or find help for my child? And when is it okay to do that versus, and how do I do that so I don't make the person feel guilty or shameful? What are the signs early, kind of maybe medium and really late in an intervention? And how do you catch it early in an appropriate manner so that it's just changing the knowledge base versus maybe a really late stage intervention? And how do you keep it from feeling like guilt and shame versus helping and educational? Those are big questions, but I think that would help a lot of people.
Okay. And you're talking about eating disorders?
Yeah. Or just disordered eating, or just unhealthier eating behaviors that could lead to disordered eating. Restriction of food, always getting on the scale every day. Is that okay or is that not? Like, I get on the scale every morning as a 48-year-old woman, because if I don't, for me, it's just healthy. It keeps me, oh yeah, I'm staying right in about the same place, and I'm not going to have to change my eating behaviors over the next week or two. I'm maintaining. But for me, I don't obsess about it. Like, how do you know when somebody is on the scale every day, obsessing and thinking about it versus just a quick check-in and that's how they do it?
And that's where, again, so most of the time when I'm working with people, I tell them, don't wait any more than once a week, right? And that's like maximum frequency, right? But then I
break that rule
too, right? Where it's like, okay, this is just a useful tool. It's not changing my mood. It's not affecting me in regards to like, oh, I had a really good day. Okay, I can go and eat some extra stuff. Or, oh, that scale told me that I had a bad day. Now I should feel bad about myself. And so we're all so different and so unique in regards to what motivates us, what keeps us on track, what makes us feel good about ourselves. And if it's hard to say what's within normal, because for every person it's different, right? And so that's where I think this is a simple answer to what you're asking, but I think the key is having an ongoing conversation with an individual that you feel may need help, and just to say, hey, and maybe you even to phrase it as like, I noticed that you're paying more attention to X, Y, and Z. Like, I would be interested to know about, like, why is it that you do that? Because maybe I should do that for myself. Or to phrase it in a way that they can educate you. And if you find that perhaps they don't know why they're doing it, or there's not a sound reason behind it, that might be a red flag. And again, like having early intervention, I think is ideal, right? And being able to say, you know what, it looks like you're cutting out like these food groups. Let's have you meet with someone who can guide you on some plant-based protein sources or some anti-inflammatory carbohydrates so that you're not cutting them all out. Or it sounds like you're interested in doing more of the intermittent fasting based on what you've heard and what you've seen online and in podcasts or whatnot. But let's see if that's a good fit for you and your body. And obviously, the farther on that it goes, then food is not necessarily normalized, right? And that's where there's definitely categories of food and what are safe foods and what are more like fear foods and all of that. And so I do think that the therapy and the counseling is a huge factor in it, but more than anything is support and knowing that the individual doesn't need to feel guilt and shame. Like, eating disorders, it is a disease, right? And so it's not something that is, oh, okay, we're going to fix this real fast. I talked to adults who they struggled with eating disorders when they were teenagers and they never got the help that they needed, and they still struggle with it, right? Whether it be just their relationship with food or feeling like so hyper-focused on things that they don't want to. And so I think it's just, again, utilizing the tools and utilizing the resources and recognizing that there's no shame in having these struggles, but knowing that there is help, right? And getting help as soon as possible, I think, is the key. And knowing that you have a support team, right? Whether it be just your counselor or whether it be your counselor and your friend or your family or a dietitian, but you have support and taking advantage of that.
Excellent. So I think to summarize, it's finding a support network, having thoughtful conversations, whether you're the one starting it or as the person who's concerned or the person who has questions about nutrition. But it's really being thoughtful in the process versus being negative about how much they weigh or what they look like. And if that's
putting a label on it.
Yep. And if that's the message you're hearing, it's trying to find the strength as the person is directed towards to redirect that conversation. But it's really being thoughtful and listening and educational. I think those are the keys. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And there shouldn't be guilt and shame with food.
No.
No. Food should be pleasant and enjoyable, and you should like it, and you should try to have a great relationship with it and enjoy it. And if sometimes you indulge and you scoop out the brownie mix out of the bowl like you did last night, that's okay.
Yes, it is. That's being human.
Yes. Okay. Well, Jessica, it was a pleasure talking to you. I can hear an alarm going off behind me, so hopefully it's not too loud on this recording. I really do appreciate all your feedback. Do you have anything that you want to add before we close out?
I don't, but I appreciate you asking all these questions, and I hope that individuals find them very helpful. And we can include my contact information if people have additional questions or are looking for a dietitian to provide individualized guidance. But otherwise, I wish everyone optimal health.
Fantastic. It was a pleasure talking to you. And now my fingers are crossed that everything recorded successfully.
Yes.
Have a great day. Thanks, Jessica.
Thanks. Bye, Kathy.
Bye.